Good afternoon. I hope everybody is having a wonderful Saturday. It sure is nice out here, although it's hot. Um, just a couple random thoughts. Uh, this is the time of year when people do spring cleaning. I had stuff lined up from April that my wife and I had just gotten around to doing some of it today. We were hanging up some pictures. We had to move some because we rearranged some of the furniture and we wanted to maintain the decor of the house. As you can see, there's nothing hanging on the wall behind me. We're kind of in a conundrum over some of the other pictures we have, trying to figure out the best way to make it work. So next time I do a video, there will probably be something lined up. This is basically the wall in our den. The Our bedroom is that way, to my left, and to my right goes towards the kitchen, and the other hallway going to the front door. Straight ahead from me is our back deck. Um, Nevertheless, here it is, the middle of May already. So much has gone on. It seems like the older I get, the faster time goes. Um, it's just funny how that works. But I got some car stuff done. I remember in the olden days when you would change the coolant in a car, there was basically one type of coolant, the green stuff, um, like Prestone or Xerox or something like that. And then they came along with the Dex Cool for General Motors cars. Then some antifreeze came out and it was pink, and then there was blue, and then there was purple and yellow. My Ford pickup truck uses an antifreeze that's yellow. The Mazda uses a green color, and I know that uh, there's like purple and blue and a pink. I think my work truck, I believe, used pink. I used to have a Freightliner before I retired, a diesel, and it required that. And you go into Walmart and it'll say safe for all vehicles, but the best thing to do is be very careful. Um, you know, Look up on the internet, check what type you're supposed to use. And usually on Amazon, they'll have a compatibility chart. You could probably use a different type, but you just have to make sure to flush it all out. You don't want Dexcool mixing with another type of antifreeze. It might not work properly. But I had to use the Ranger method. Um, it wouldn't just all drain out at once. The drain cock on the bottom of the radiator seemed to drain slowly. So what I had to do is get the car good and hot, drain it all out. Then I filled it with tap water, warm tap water, of course. Then I ran it, got it hot, drained it again. And then I went for a drive, and I did it and I drained it again until it was just pure water. There was no yellow or green in it. And then I used a turkey baster and cleaned out the overflow tank. Um, I got that taken care of. And then I let the vehicle cool. I drained everything out again. And then I bought the type of antifreeze that I got was pre-mixed. It's already diluted 50-50. So you don't have to worry about tap water. And, we have well water, which can be kind of hard. So that's another reason why I wanted to make sure I drained everything out of it. But you put in the 50-50 mixture pre-diluted, and um, you have to look at the capacity. Mine takes 1.7 gallons, I believe it is. So I drove it, and I'm letting it cool off, and then I'll top it off again. I filled up the overflow tank, and I think I have maybe a half a gallon more to put in, and I'll wait till it cools off, and I should get it right. Um, it's a lot harder. Some of the new cars are it's different than it was back in the day. But enough about that. It was 4.5 years old. I figure I better do it now. This new antifreeze says it's good for 15 years. There's no way I would wait that long. I would do antifreeze no longer than every 5 years. Um, if you don't drive the car that often, maybe you could go a little longer than that, but I wouldn't go over 7 years, even if they say that you can. Um, I Another thing I did, I bought a new lawnmower. I went to Lowe's. I bought a Toro, and it's one that folds up. It's a push mower, but it is self-propelled, and you fold it up so it stands up, and it takes about as much space as a trash can in the garage, which is really, really convenient. That was a pretty nice feature. With this new lawnmower, it's got a Briggs and Stratton engine on it. I have a 1.6 acre lot, which is a lot for a push mower. It took me 2.5 hours to do it for the first time. Right now, we have mostly weeds. The soil out here is a lot of red clay and rocks, so it's very hard to get anything to grow. But it took me 2.5 hours, and I had to top off the gas tank twice. You don't change the oil in this mower, apparently. You're supposed to just add it when it goes down, which for a 4 cycle engine seems kind of bizarre. But nevertheless, I'm going to keep an eye on it. But in the owner's manual for the mower, they do show you how to change the oil. It's pretty easy. You just basically take off the oil cap and turn the thing upside down and let it drain out. It's not, you don't even have to worry about a drain plug on the bottom. I've always changed my lawnmower oil once every season, and I've done that for years. This lawnmower, interestingly enough, has a fuel cap, and it says you can use up to E10 gasoline, which is what most fuel in the United States is E10, which means it has 10% ethanol and 90% gasoline. They don't want you to use anything higher than that. But given that ethanol is horrible on small engines and carbureted engines, um, I always use something called StaBil, StaBil. You buy a little bottle of it. It's about $8 a bottle, and it'll treat up to 50 gallons. And basically, you use 1 ounce for every 5 gallons of gasoline. And if you buy E10 gasoline, that's supposed to, one capful, 1 ounce for 5 gallons, which is what the plastic gas cans usually hold. Some of them are 2 gallons, some are 5 gallons. But anyway, that neutralizes it. In the past, I've done that and I've never had an ethanol fuel issue. I did one time more than 10 years ago, and I had to take my lawnmower to a shop and have them fix the carburetor. And the guy said it was because of the ethanol and the gasoline. Ethanol does not belong in gasoline, it belongs in your liquor cabinet. But nevertheless, you can buy E15 gasoline here. It's a little bit cheaper than the regular E10. I've used it in the car before. I'm not a big fan of it. I just thought it would, it was like 20 cents cheaper. Didn't really make much of a difference in the fuel economy. Ethanol has lower energy content, so if you use ethanol mixed with the gasoline, you're probably going to get less mileage. They do sell E85 in Virginia, which is 85% ethanol, 15% gasoline. You can only use it if it usually has a yellow pump, and the E15 has a blue pump hose on it. But the E85 has a yellow pump on the hose, and usually the handle on the nozzle is yellow. That can only be used on a vehicle that's rated for flex fuel. If you use it in a regular car, you might damage your engine badly. But anyway, the E85, instead of being like 309 a gallon, I think it was like 212 or something. It was a lot cheaper. But your fuel mileage is going to go in the dumper because ethanol has a lower energy content than gasoline. So it'll burn quicker. And the price is only lower because of government subsidies and mandates. I'd rather just get rid of the mandates and the subsidies and let the free market dictate what kind of gasoline people are going to buy. But nevertheless, I used that mower. It was new, and it's a self-propelled mower. And when you push on it, it'll speed up, and when you back off on it, it slows down. Most self-propelled mowers just have a thing where you set the speed and you kind of have to keep up with it. And of course, it has a dead man switch. If you let go, the whole thing shuts off. But I mowed my grass uh, 10 days ago for the first time, and it's getting kind of long. I'm going to do it Monday. I'm going to wait until some of the lower patches grow in. We got a bunch of rain last night, so it's going to be growing. I'm going to go out and I'm going to cut everything on Monday. But I was noticing some things. I kind of have a fascination with the energy industry, oil companies, ethanol, and various things like that. And I've noticed that um, marketing is very important to energy companies. Premium gasoline. If regular is 309 a gallon, premium will be like 60 cents a gallon more, but it only costs them maybe 5 cents more to refine it. And you have gas stations that have mid-grade gasoline, which is 89, sometimes 90 octane. Well, when a tanker truck delivers, they don't have a tank section on the truck for mid-grade. What they do, they have premium 93 octane here. It might be 91 octane if you live in a high elevation, but here you have 93 octane gasoline in the underground tank. You have 87 octane leaded, I'm sorry, unleaded regular gasoline under the ground. The pump actually mixes it together. So it's not really economical to pay. You pay a lot more for mid grade, but it's actually, I think they use 2/3 regular and 1/3 premium. So you're paying a lot more and you're not getting that much better. If you really feel like your vehicle doesn't run quite right on unleaded regular and unleaded premium seems to be too costly or unnecessary, do what I did. I used to have a 2004 Silverado truck with a V8 in it, and it would ping on 87 regular. It would just a little bit of a ping, not really bad, but that's not good for your engine. Well, what I did is every time I would fill up, I would usually go. I think it was Tuesdays they had premium at Shell for the same price as the mid grade. So I would top it off with the 93 octane premium, and then go ahead and put regular in it the next time. And whenever it was a day where I think Shell had discount on Tuesday, and there was an Exxon station, I think, had it Thursday. So I could usually time it so that I could top it off with some premium instead of buying a whole tank of it. And that cured it right up. The thing ran strong. I have a 2004 F-150, and the old girl's 21 years old and still runs well, but I don't have that many miles on it. But it runs on regular 87 all the time. It never pings or anything. It doesn't have a very high compression ratio, so it doesn't need, it wasn't as powerful. It's not as powerful as the old Chevrolet was, so it doesn't need that much extra octane. But if you have a vehicle that calls for premium, you should use it. Some vehicles have a knock sensor, and the engine will retard the timing so that it doesn't knock. But then again, you're probably going to get less gas mileage. So it's going to be a personal choice on what you get. My wife used to have an Audi, and that thing required premium fuel. And sometimes if you made a mistake and put regular in it, it still ran fine. But it did call for I think it called for 91 octane. So I think we'd mix it back and forth. We'd usually run the premium in it, sometimes the mid grade. But um, the other, I guess it was about a week ago, my wife and I were driving through the Charlottesville area, and there was a Subaru. Not to make fun of Subarus, but you know what they say. Anyway, it had a sticker on the back, and it said "No pipelines." Okay. I kind of thought to myself, well, that seems kind of strange. No pipelines. Um, okay, she's driving a gasoline powered car. How did that gasoline get to her station? Well, when gasoline comes off of or it comes out from the oil fields or from an oil tanker, it goes to what's called a refinery. That's where they take crude oil and they put it into diesel fuel, jet fuel, kerosene, gasoline, and whatnot, diesel, aviation gas, racing gas, any type of liquefied petroleum product goes through a refinery, and it is sent through a pipeline from the refinery to what's called a transfer station or a tank farm. That is basically a place where they have those big, huge tanks. Airports have them. Refinery will take jet fuel and they will pump it through a big pipeline up to an airport like Dulles or Washington National or JFK or any airport, even your smaller airports, they will have a pipeline going in there for their tanks. So that goes by pipeline. The gas station where you stop at your Wawa or your Shell or your Sheets, your Fast Mart, your U Totem, wherever you 7-Eleven, wherever you get gasoline, a tanker truck will come and fill up the underground tanks in that gas station. Sometimes it's once a week, sometimes it's a couple times a day, depending on how much they sell. Um, but that tractor trailer will fill up at a tank farm. That's where they pump the gasoline from those big, huge storage tanks from the pipeline. It'll go into a tractor trailer. He'll go and take it to the gas station where the lovely lady in the Subaru who hates pipelines will come in there and she'll get gasoline. That kind of mentality reminds me of somebody who says, well, I don't believe in killing animals. I think hunting is wrong. Well, why is that? Well, I just buy my meat at the grocery store. Okay, yeah, but they a lot of time, or people who say they hate trucks on the highway. They can't stand trucks. All these trucks are in the way. Well, but they demand what the truckers are carrying. Everybody hates trucks, but they sure as hell want what they're carrying, and they want it now. They don't want any excuses why the delivery was late. Um, but yeah, it's just kind of funny. I would have loved to ask her, well, like, what do you mean, pipeline? She probably heats her house with natural gas. There's another pipeline. She's got water that comes into her house by a pipeline, unless she has a well. Um, okay, when you flush the toilet, the excrement goes out of your house in a pipeline, even if it's only to a septic tank. But most people have a city sewer, and it goes right out that way. So there are thousands and thousands of miles of pipeline in the United States and in other countries too. So, I mean, people get, okay, so you don't want crude oil going by a pipeline. Okay, well, then how's it going to get transported? By tanker ship? We've all heard of the Exxon Valdez. We have the trains. Trains derail. Remember East Palestine, Ohio? The chemical and petroleum products on that train crashed. Another thing is trucks. Do you want more trucks on the road hauling petroleum product? I don't know. Maybe that's the pipeline is still the safest way. Do they have spills? Yes. But with the new technology, they can generally contain it. They have sensors and everything so that they can figure out exactly where the rupture occurs and they can fix it a lot faster than the olden days. I remember when the Alaska pipeline was built, they said, oh, it's going to disturb the mating habits of the caribou. Well, now the caribou love being under the oil pipe and they get busy making baby caribou because it's a nice place where I guess it's frost free under there, and they get under there and they get busy. So, uh, is petroleum always the cleanest source of energy? No, but we're stuck with it. Wind and solar are not going to replace petroleum anytime soon. Does it serve a niche? Yes. But what do you do when the sun doesn't shine? What do you do when the wind isn't blowing? What is used to make windmills? Lots of concrete and rebar. Then you've got the steel and the aluminum for the tower. You've got those big fiberglass blades that can't be recycled, not to mention they kill birds. And inside of those giant windmills, I saw several of them in Germany. Inside every one of those giant windmills is probably 40 gallons of lubricating oil, which comes from fossil fuel. When you see the protesters, the no oil people, stop oil, protesting, blocking traffic, they're holding signs made of vinyl from fossil fuel. Their backpacks, their shoes, their shirts all came from some kind of derivative of petroleum. They arrived there in petroleum powered vehicles. These people don't walk there. Some of them might if they live nearby, but most of them ride a vehicle that was powered by diesel fuel. Um, Generating electricity, even if you have a Prius. And my wife bought a Toyota Camry. It's a hybrid. It's not a plug-in hybrid. It's a gasoline hybrid, but it's got an electric motor for when you're going slowly. Gets really good fuel mileage, but there's a lot of plastic in that car, which comes from fossil fuel. The battery, the heavy metals, all come from uh, fossil fuels. And a lot of fossil fuels are burned in making them. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say for today. Have a great day. Everybody be safe. Hello, dear.